Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Plat. This is my first, probably last, Path of Exile 2 video. But I've been playing this game a lot, and I just kind of wanted to do a impressions, kind of let you know what I think about the game. And kind of, we're going to give it a little preface here with my background that we kind of know where I'm coming from. But a lot of people are talking about this game right now. A lot of good, reviews out there. A lot of not as good reviews. I watched Hog's video, which actually kind of made me want to make this video myself. But I basically just wanted to talk about the game. So we're just going to jump right into it. So for context, who am I? If you're watching this, you probably don't know my ARPG. If you're watching this, you probably don't know my ARPG background, because why would you? No one does. But basically, so right now I have about 47 hours in PoE 2. I currently am on Act 2 Cruel with my main character, and I played a little bit here, right? Just like a little level 4 mercenary, just to dick around a little bit. It's a melee mercenary, and then I got my co-op playthrough with my buddy, and then I've got my main playthrough here with my Infernalist. So about 46 hours in here. But my ARPG experience is growing up when I was a kid, pretty much. Maybe not literally my favorite game. My favorite game was probably Pokemon, like yellow version, Pokemon Red, something like that. But one of my favorite games was Diablo 2. I never played Diablo 1, but I played a shit ton of Diablo 2. I mean, from an ARPG standpoint, I guess it probably wasn't that much, maybe a couple hundred hours, But as a kid, that was my life, right? I didn't get to sit in no life games as much because I was forced to go outside and stuff like that. But when I was playing games, there was many months where all I did is play Diablo 2 all the time, and it was one of my favorite games of all time. So going from Diablo 2, I have pretty much never liked an ARPG since then. So the next ARPG I really played was probably Diablo 3 when I was in high school. And I beat the campaign. Didn't really have much fun with it. I didn't like playing the witch doctor. I was like, where's my necromancer? It wasn't the same flavor. I didn't like the way they did the skills at all. I pretty much just didn't like the game. So I was like, all right, well, D3 was kind of a letdown. So PoE came out, Path of Exile came out. I played Path of Exile. Honestly, I did not even remotely like Path of Exile. To this day, I still don't like Path of Exile. Why? I only have roughly, this is gonna sound like a joke, and it sounds like I didn't give it a chance. I have roughly 5 hours in the game of Path of Exile. It's hard for me to explain it. Like, I know the mechanics there are good, I know the systems are good, but I just don't have fun when I play it. I don't like the combat, is really all I could say about it, honestly. But after Path of Exile, I basically just kept playing ARPGs and not liking them. Torchlight, I played, didn't like Torchlight. Victor Vron is a single player one, played it, didn't like it. Lost Ark was fun, but it was more of the MMO aspect that I enjoyed than anything. D4, I played through the campaign, didn't like it. It was like, it was just disappointing. I don't know. I just didn't really have that much fun with the combat in general. But then actually something kind of changed. Sorry, one more thing. Another ARPG. Then I was like, oh my God, D2 remake is coming out. Diablo 2 remastered or remake. I forgot what it is. Came out. I replayed Diablo 2. I did not like it at all. I know all my gamer cards are being revoked right now. They're just, I don't know why I didn't like it anymore, but I was just like, oh, I don't like ARPGs anymore. It's just not my genre. I'm a boomer. They're too fast for me. Or I like card games. I like turn-based games. I like strategy games so I was like, all right, I guess I just don't like these games anymore, because I did not have any fun in Diablo 2, honestly, when it came out. But then something actually kind of changed here. Last Epoch came out. Why do I keep buying all these games if I never like them? It's because on paper, every single one of them has everything I want. It's like a lot of character customization of building, gearing, items, min-maxing, boss fights, killing screens of enemies. It's just like there's always, in all the people that I like and I watch, like Asmongold, Kripparrian, they like these games. And so I always am convinced that this is the one I'm going to like, and I never do. Last Epoch came out though, and you know what? Last Epoch, it reminded me it taught me that I still like ARPGs. I thought Last Epoch was an incredibly fun game. It didn't quite grip me as much as it could have. Like, I didn't love it, but I liked it. I was like, oh, I'm having fun. I haven't had fun in an ARPG in quite some time. So just being able to play Last Epoch, I didn't get super far. I think I got like level 50 and then I kind of dropped it. I didn't quite get to the end game. It just wasn't really, end game is still not really my thing. But I was having a good time and I love the gearing in that game. But bring me here now to Path of Exile 2. Just a spoiler alert. This is potentially one of my favorite games of all time right now in its current state. And is that a good thing or a bad thing? That I still think is actually up to be debated. I currently fucking love this game. I am having so much fun. Every minute that I play this game, I am enjoying it. We're going to get more into it, but one question I want to raise, is that good or bad? I think it's good because I like it, but I'm willing to acknowledge that it could be bad. As someone that has a history of not liking Path of Exile 1 and not really liking ARPGs, does the fact that I really like this game mean that Grinding Gear Games has pushed the genre forward into such a way and mastered it that even people who don't normally like the genre can play an almost perfect version of this genre, and it's just like an amazing game? Or is it that they have strayed from other ARPG elements that other people like, and now they're going to lose their audience for a new audience? I honestly don't know. All I can tell you is that I'm having fun, and I freaking love this game. So, I'm just going to quickly go over it. You know, I just want to give you some context. What is my history with ARPGs? And now we're going to quickly kind of go over what I like and what I dislike about the game. There are some issues, but I think the positives outweigh the bad. So we'll talk about that stuff, and then I will show you my build really quick where I'm at. I did not use any guides. I did not use any online resources. I'm just playing myself, having fun. I'm a janitor, so I do actually have time to listen to a lot of videos and stuff, and I listen to a lot of content on the game, but not build guides. I avoid build guides. I just listen to people talk about how they like the game and stuff. But okay, here's something that I love, and this might actually be almost all of the heavy lifting, and I'm not even exaggerating. This is something that I hate about ARPGs that this game has solved, and that is WASD. I can't tell you how much I hate myself, just like from a physical with my hand standpoint. I hate having to click, like click, attack, like move over there, and then I'm dodging enemies by clicking around, and then I would misclick and I would accidentally click on enemies and attack them. Sorry, you can see all my stuff I'm doing. Let's make this into a punch. And then I would like misclick, and then I would accidentally attack an enemy, and I would end up standing still. Then I would just die, and then it was just clunky. Like I felt like I would just like I hate point and click moving in an action game. WASD movement has made it feels like this is such a natural progression for the genre. I don't know if these other games had it and I just didn't use it, or if I forgot that they had it. But I am actually in love with this system, basically WASD movement. 10 out of 10. I will never play an ARPG without WASD again, and that's just a fact, because it is so much quality of life, and I love it. Another thing that I want to talk about is the difficulty that I personally really like. Now, I'm going to be honest. I'm not a pro at PoE2, right? I'm not a pro in ARPGs. I personally have not found the game to be difficult, in a sense. I found it to be, like, I think Asmongold said it pretty well. I found it to be challenging, but not difficult, if that makes sense. Like, I've never been stuck and felt like I can't progress. I haven't had to grind anything, right? I just keep progressing. I just go to the checkpoints and I kill the screens and I keep going. I've never had to get to a spot where I'm stuck and have to go grind for gear or levels or something and then go and fight the boss or whatever. Now, I have a very small sample size, right? I have one character that's been through the campaign is at level 50 right now. Maybe Minion Witch is just incredibly powerful. Maybe it's just because like they give you a bunch of meat shields, they do a bunch of damage. It might just be the build is really strong, and not because I'm really good at making builds, but because the mechanics of the game just are not balanced in early access, and this is just really powerful. That I don't know, but I've personally not found it very difficult. Act 1 was a good challenge, especially in the second half. And then actually, sorry, there is a caveat here. My first character, I hadn't played an ARPG in a long time. I bricked my very first character. They got through Act 1. The final fight took me like 25 minutes in the fight. That's how little damage I was doing. Then I got into Act 2, and I couldn't beat the first fight in Act 2. Like, I tried a dozen times plus, and I literally couldn't. I wasn't even getting 20% through the fight. And I just felt, and I couldn't kill the ads, right? So I was like, oh, this character is bricked, because I went with like, I was a mercenary and I wanted to be a summoner though. So I just took every single, so in my intuition told me that getting strength, because I just didn't read it. I was like, okay, strength is going to give you damage and stuff like that, just without even thinking about it. And so I took all these nodes, trying to get all the way around, all the way up to loop around here to get minion summoning stuff, because I wanted to be a mercenary, because I like the crossbow, but I wanted to be a summoner. I didn't realize I would have to equip a scepter to have summon. The point is, I didn't understand the game at all. I had no concept, and I did brick my character. So I do think that is something that is worth criticizing, that people should be aware of. It is very possible, if you are trying to do something very weird that is not, you don't have knowledge, you can brick a character. If you kind of go down the predetermined paths though, you're going to do fine. So yes, I did brick a character, but once I started my second character, I was like, all right, I'm just going to do a witch summoner then. That way I don't have to try to do this, you know, some weird thing. It's been perfectly fun. And so now I got through Act 2, I got through that fight. The first half of Act 2 was pretty challenging. The second half of Act 2, I had no problems. Act 3 for me was the easiest part of the game to date so far. Every boss was a one and done, and I didn't even get close to dying on like any of them. And in fact, I would say I don't even know most of their mechanics still. Is that a good thing? No, not necessarily. I did have to dodge and stuff, but I'm looking forward to trying them now on a character like a melee character that really has to pay the fuck attention, instead of just hiding. Because like, here's what I'm doing, right? I've got my minions and I've got my shield, all right? And then, yeah, I'll do some stuff, like I'll do some firewall and stuff, but like for the most part, I play a very defensive minion playstyle, because that's just kind of what I like. Is sitting there watching your minions do all the fighting fun. For me, yes, I'm a card game player. Boring is my fun, okay? What you find boring, I find fun. So other than the Wasad movement, the other thing I wanted to talk about, and besides, sorry, the difficulty, was the combat. The combat just feels so good. Now, it's not actually going to be very good to show you on this build, because this build has kind of evolved into a do very little build. It started with much more active, like I was doing a whatever this ability, like Essence Drain, Contagion. I was doing in a Unearthed, like that was like the first half of the game. So I was doing all kinds of different things in combat, cursing, dodging, using a couple minions but not too many, and then a lot of curses and stuff. So it was a very active and engaging combat. The enemies are interesting and varied. I love that there's so many enemies with so many abilities and things you got to watch out for, but they could still just be like easy to kill. But if you're not paying attention to them, sometimes they could be absolutely just wreck you. The bosses have been incredible, just like 10 out of 10 bosses. They're, even when they're easy and I am destroying them, that's more of like, I think it could use a little bit of balance tweaks, but like the animations, the attacks, the mechanics are all just fun, interesting, different. Every time I come up to a boss, I am very excited to see what's going to happen. It's just a very fun, the combat system, I feel there's weight to it, which is one of the issues I have with so many other ARPGs. I just don't feel the weight of the combat. It just feels kind of floaty, and honestly the dodge roll, it does so much. Having a guard like this, having a dodge roll, it makes me kind of feel like I'm playing a, I don't know, like a dungeon crawler RPG, which I know that's what Diablo is, but like instead of just being like a button, a game where I walk forward and mash E to, or whatever your ability button is to kill everything on the screen, I feel like I need to be tactical with my positioning. I feel like I need to be aware of my surroundings. I need to dodge. Now, as I get later into the game, my build becomes more autocomplete. It actually is less like that, but that's kind of a payoff for getting to this point. But I still feel like I need to be tactical. Also, I don't know if you know, but if you have a shield, you can guard and it'll send your minions that direction. You don't need to use the button. If you cast any ability, they'll automatically go that way. Oh, maybe not, but yeah, guard definitely sends them that way, which is kind of cool. So another thing I really like about the game is the passive tree. Now, first thing, I want to give Grinding Gear Games a huge thumbs up and congratulate them for their wise decision to not let you zoom out more than this. This is pretty far to zoom out. But I'm telling you, just for a new player, if they let you zoom out more than this, I actually think it would be too daunting. They picked a zoom out level that would let you kind of look around and see what you need. Although maybe they could lower it a little bit. But I think they literally, the reason they don't let you zoom out further is because they don't want a new player to see all the nodes at once and feel like it's hopeless. This looks like a confusing tree, but it's really not confusing. This is all builds for the entire game, right? This is for all what's going to be 12 characters and 3 ascendancies for each of those 12 characters. This is for everything, every build in the entire game, right? This isn't like you don't have this many options, right? You could look like you have this many options, but really you only have so many points and you have a rough idea what you're going to do. So like for me, I didn't plan out where I'm going to go. I didn't like, oh, I'm going here. All I did is I did this. I went to the search bar. I typed in minion. And there we go. Now I can go over here and I can get these nodes, and I can see I got more nodes here I didn't get. These nodes down here I didn't get, but I just kind of went up, bada bing. Can I open this up? Yeah, I don't even understand the weapon set thing still. But then boom, boom. I just kind of went to these spots, right? I mean, it's pretty obvious. I even went up here because I wanted the minions to reserve for less. I even got this one, makes your amulets apply to your minions instead of you, but it seemed so weak for the amulets that I had that I decided not to do it. But so even though this looks confusing, I actually think it is very straightforward and simple. And the fact that this like looks like a minion, right? It looks like a little dude, and the fire looks like fire, the ice looks like ice, the lightning looks like lightning. Like there's a lot of love put into this tree and a lot of thoughtfulness put into this tree. And I just think that it's just a really good tree. One, because the search function just lets you find what you want, but also because it is open. This is like the Final Fantasy X sphere grid on the expert version of it. You just have a lot of flexibility where if they had a more structured, they have the structured skill grid, the skill tree, right? You can follow a very simple path to get to minions, and you have like these roads that let you get around way faster. Then you can get like all this minion stuff pretty darn easy. So you could follow a pretty strict path, but you also, this just gives you flexibility. And once you're ready as a player, you can then spread off the beaten path. Now, instead of going up here just for all the minion stuff, maybe I want to prioritize getting, I don't know, there's always big nodes that are really powerful, but they're all really far apart. Like 30% bonus critical damage when on full life. Or 30% more critical damage bonus when on low life. So there's like a low life build here. Maybe as an infernalist, that's good because I can reserve 75% of my life. So I'm guaranteed to be at low life, I think, right? And so that could synergize with it. So like once you're ready as a player, the game is ready to let you go off the beaten path. However, nearly all of these nodes are just going to be powerful and you don't even need to think about it. You could just go and get your damage, get your damage. Most of this is damage in different ways. And even though this is survivability for minions, in a lot of ways that's damage because they just die less, right? So I love the skill tree myself. I think it has a little bit of a visual intimidation the first time you look at it, but it is really quite intuitive from where things are located. Like most of the minion stuff's over here. However, the mercenary has a couple minion things down here as well, because they can get like trebuchets or something. So you could try to go with like a mercenary minion build, go here, and then maybe take the road over here. All kinds of stuff you could do. I love it. Honestly, I think it's like a super good thing. So another thing I really like here is the skill system. If you hit on my keyboard, it's G. You basically, I'm going to talk about something I don't like actually, which is the skill gems. But I kind of like the skill gems, but there's something I don't like about it as well. But I just like how easy it is. Like you just put a gem here. Once you get a gem, you can put it here. Boom, I got it. I want to put this. The skeleton warrior is a bad example, but I want to put the ability on my bar. I could put it wherever I want. I could hit control to add a whole other layer of abilities. And then there's these things called support gems that like modify that or give them additional effects. And I'm like, all right, what do I want? I want minions to deal 35% less damage but have more HP. There we go. Now my skeleton warriors have more HP. Now my infernal hound has more HP. Like you get a 100% chance to ignite. Boom. Now my skeleton warrior has a chance to ignite. Now my unearth has a 100% chance to ignite. So I just love these The way these gems work, it's just simple, easy. I like the sound and feel of taking a gem and socketing in it, and it's like it's got a nice little click to it. And it's an intuitive, easy system. And because you have these buttons here, I get his look right now. Like I'm like, all right, what's my attack do? My skeleton snipers do 439 damage per second. These guys aren't a great example. Let's use these ones, right? These guys do 527 damage per second. And now let's say I take a 35% melee damage off, but in return, they have more attack speed. So they're at 439 damage per second, right? So you can see, I don't need to do the math if the attack speed is outweighed by the damage, because it's obvious. You just click here. Yes, it is. And so it just, all this works incredibly well. And it's intuitive, feels good. And I've been loving the skill system. Now, to go on to things that I don't like as much, really, we'll show off the build in a second here. But quickly, one thing I don't like is I actually don't like the gem system for acquiring the skills. Once you have the skills and the way you put the gems in and stuff, I like it. But as far as this thing here, like you get these gems, I don't like that you can't level up your gems with experience. And also, like in my build, I basically was trying to find I found out Raging Spirits is a minion spell, but I didn't have this buff. And so I wanted to get the persistent buff for it. But I mean, it literally took me 10 hours to find another gem for this, even though I knew I wanted it, but it's like they just didn't drop, And so I don't like that I can't like target something. I can't convert, like if I could convert like a certain amount of these maybe into a persistent skill gem, or a certain, like, maybe a 5-to-1 ratio of any kind of some sort of conversion. But like, I just had so many gems of different types, and this isn't, obviously I used most of them. But it just was like, I was very frustrated, and I have all these that I just kind of don't really like using that much. So I don't like getting all the gems and having to cut them. There is a little nice aspect of it, is because it's an item and you improve it and it goes in your stash, you'll still have that leveled up item like later, right? Like this is a level 9 gem. No matter what I do with it, it's always going to be like level 9, right? And if I improve the quality on it, like I did on one of my other gems, then that one will always have its quality on it. It's not tied to the character, it's tied to the gem. But I'm honestly just not a big fan of this. I like being able to choose the specific skill I want with a cut gem, but I don't like that I just have to find them, and that I can't level my skills up past a certain point depending on the zone I'm in, which I'm sure is for difficulty purposes. But I don't know. I feel like just make it slow, and if someone's willing to spend the time, give them an out. That way they don't just feel like they brick their character if they like get all the wrong skills and then they're just trying to grind for skills and they can't find them or something. So before we get into the rest that I don't like, we'll actually just take a quick look at my build here. I'm not going to say it's good. Okay. I'm not going to say it's good. All I know is you can let me know if it's good in your mind. But we are just basically using a bunch of summons here, right? I've got 6 Reavers. What's my spirit at? I've got 250 spirit, and I'm using 6 skeletal Reavers that are at level 17. They are, they stay alive 4 seconds after they die. That way, when they enrage, they don't just kill themselves. They get a little bit more attack speed, 35% more physical damage, and then 50% more stun buildup. Their stun buildup isn't crazy good, but it is relevant. They will stun bosses, especially when there's 6 of them. And they are doing like a 527 damage per second, each of them, right? So that's effectively 3,000 damage a second if they actually hit. I'm using 2 snipers. This is mostly for the poison and fire combo with the Infernal Hound. The Infernal Hound is part of the Infernalist tree. And he's basically, he does like ignite based off his health. So we gave him extra health. And then the skeletal archer, I have 2 of them because I just like having 2 poison arrows. But they also are really, really good at destroying armor. I have the ability to, they destroy armor based on their poison damage dealt. They have a 60% chance to poison on hit, and they break 40% more armor. So they frequently just full break everything right away without even having to think about it. That full breaking enemies also is just really good with the Reavers. Other than that, our second main damage source is the Firewall with the Raging Spirits. The Flame Wall is just, it's just decent because it gets you a lot of Flaming Spirits really fast. And then the Raging Spirits are just here to deal more damage. They take more damage and they penetrate fire resistance. That's a pretty common thing that I've seen. And then the Infernal Hound is just here. We're using Purity of Fire just because I finally got a better staff than what I was using. So my main rotation here, if I'm trying to kill something, is I use a Vulnerability Curse, which helps my characters ignore, what is it, 1,000 armor, 1,018 armor, while they're fully shield broken. And then if I want to kill like actual strong enemies, I'll usually use this command gas arrow. Let's just take a look at it really quick. I'll use this arrow because when the hound ignites everything around him, so he'll automatically ignite it without me needing to do anything. And then if it's like a tougher enemy, I will also throw down like these, right? And that'll break their stuff. And then this is all pretty good. I haven't really had any issues at all, if I'm being completely honest. The Raging Spirits are also really good. So that's my main rotation. As far as my gear, let's actually take a look at some gear here. So you can tell the shield is terrible. I have a lot of pieces of gear I'm still trying to improve, but I'm just I decided I wanted to use a shield because I didn't really care about the wand damage, and scepters don't have a lot of options to dual wield. So I figured, you know what, let's just get a shield. Maybe there's a shield with spirit on it. I haven't seen it, but it might be there. So HP int all elemental resistances on a shield. It's not the worst shield I've had, but it's obviously not insane. A little extra spirit on it's corrupted because I didn't know what that meant. So there we go. We got 67 life on it though. Pretty good. I'm at 1200 life. All elemental resistance is 9%, 51 life. Life seems to be pretty good, so that's what I've been going for. 83 life on this ring here with 9% increased cast speed. I don't particularly care about the cast speed. The 17 intelligence is actually hyper relevant for me because I don't meet the thresholds for casting my spells unless I have extra int. Pretty bad boots overall. There's a lot of stuff on there, but most of the shit is stuff I don't really care about. The gloves, I would also say, aren't incredibly good. The intelligence, again, is still relevant to me for right now. The belt, I would say, is not very good. The fire resistance is fine, but like I'm not super impressed with it. Now, the other three pieces are the ones that I think are reasonable. I am using a unique here, and this is purely for the 50 spirit. This is about to get outclassed right now because I'm starting to find armor with like 40 spirit on there. So I think it is going to be pretty easy to roll 50 spirit on a piece of armor, which is good. I am excited to be able to replace this. The 20% reduced mana cost I don't think affects me that much, and I would like to be able to get some more stats on it, basically. I did put some quality on this right when I got it. I don't know if it's really helped, but it's good. Now, this helmet, though, is pretty sick with it. There's a lot of bad stuff on it, but it does have +2 level to all minion skills. So I'm basically going to hold this until I get another helmet that has +2 to all minion skills, but is actually better. So +2 to all minion skills is pretty darn good for me right now, as that is primarily everything I'm doing. And then my staff is 27% increased spirit, 131 maximum mana, which I don't care about, and then 3 to the level of all minion skills. I can still put 3 more exalted orbs in this to get some more effects, hopefully run something good, like, you know, allies in my presence deal more damage, shit like that. But basically I was looking for spirit and minion skills, and I found them both in that one. So that is pretty much my build right now, and it's been pretty darn easy. You can see I like it. Like, I just love the idea of being a like commander kind of, which is why I wanted to play the mercenary, because it just felt more thematic to be like an augmented soldier with an army or whatever. But even as the witch, like, I like being able to guard, and I send my units like they're in formation, right? I got my Infernal Hound up front, I've got my warriors there, and then I've got my they'll actually kind of go wherever I want them to when I'm guarding. But I just kind of like the idea that I have like this army. That's why I kind of like wearing heavier armor and having a shield. It's a little more of a role play for me in my RPG. All right, let's kind of finish off a couple of things that I dislike though, and then we'll wrap this up. As someone that's not played these kinds of games before, really, it can be really hard to understand how to get stronger. If you're getting stuck, it could feel like, especially on that first character, I was like, I don't know what I did wrong, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And it's not, and the thing is, it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't just because I thought that strength would give me more damage on my weapons, or int would increase my spell damage. You know, it's like, yes, that's true, that is one thing. And then once I read it, I'm like, oh, this doesn't actually increase my damage, right? Strength does not grant damage to skills or any other benefits except where specifically stated. I'm like, ah, okay, well, that's relevant. Okay, now I know that. And it's mostly equipment requirement, right? So that was one thing. I was like, okay, I learned that. But also, I didn't understand how to get gear, to make gear stronger, or the crafting at all. I feel like the game doesn't teach you literally at all. I would just get all my gear, all my blues and all my yellows, and if I couldn't use it, I was just selling them. for gold, which is fine, but I didn't understand there was like this disenchant thing. And so once I started disenchanting, I actually started getting some of these regal orbs that I've now used. But, you know, I started getting orbs of transmutation, so I could turn base items that I liked, especially like the rattling scepter, right? Instead of having a bad rattling scepter, I could find new scepters and try to get one with actually spirit on it or like minion skills. And then if I found a good one, I could regal orb it, and then I could always use the exalted orb too. So it was like I didn't really understand any of this disenchanting stuff, and I didn't understand how the orb system really worked. It just wasn't intuitive to me. And getting like making a comprehensive build, it was just kind of a it's a little bit of a trial by fire. The game doesn't do a good job of teaching you how to build your character. They do a pretty good job of giving you the controls of how to play. They're like, hey, look at this. You could level up these skills. You can go to the passive tree and level up your passives. But it didn't do a great job of teaching you how to actually get yourself stronger. But I mean, I've overcome that. I think the crafting system in this game, I don't like it nearly as much as I did in Last Epoch. This feels like it's a gamble system in a lot of ways. Like I'm finding gear and gears dropping. All right. And then at first it's unidentified. So first gamble is I identify it. Oh, okay. I identify 100 pieces. 5 of them are things I'm interested in. Then I take those 5 and then I'll add a second magic modifier if it had a good one, or then I'll want to regal orb it. And then it's like, I just feel like I'm gambling on top of gambling on top of gambling on top of gambling until I finally get an item that's good. And there's a little bit of payoff for that, but I preferred, and this is fine, and I'm having fun, and I like it in a sense. But I like the Last Epoch system more, where I felt like I was crafting a piece of gear that I wanted. This isn't crafting. It doesn't feel like crafting to me. It feels like I'm smashing orbs into items for random effects, you know, and which is like fine. Maybe that's the way to do it. That way your character has a more maybe it just affects the character progression level, where if you had targeted farming the entire playthrough, it would be way too strong or something. I don't know. But I loved when I was in Last Epoch, this thing had forge potential. I could I could level up HP on it, try to get, then you could choose to gamble a little bit to like roll off bad stats that you don't want. And then when the forging potential is gone or whatever, the item's just bricked basically at its current power level. So I would still be encouraged to find new items and new bases that I thought were good, things with implicits that I cared about. But I liked that when I finally found a piece of gear with something I could work with, I could always like force my character to get an upgrade instead of having to keep looking for random drops. But again, maybe that's just other than that, I really don't have any complaints personally. Common complaints I've seen are like the maps are too big. I actually think the maps are kind of a cool size. I like how expansive they could be. I do think that there should be less backtracking in them. I know they're going to add the ability to teleport the checkpoints. I think that'll completely solve it for me. I like mob density and the combat. I mean, I pretty much like everything that I've heard or that I've seen and played in the game. I haven't gotten to the end game, so I'm sure it's very imbalanced there. I'm not really an end game guy. I'm more excited to start new characters once I get to the end game. I want to get to maps, do my first map, say I did maps, and then go and create another character and start playing them. So that's probably going to be what I do. But overall, I really don't have anything else bad to say about the game. This has been one of my favorite games that I've played all year. I'm just having so much fun. It's so fun to build this character, and I'm just constantly this is what's been so crazy about the game. And everyone knows this, I feel like, about PoE 1, and to me it feels true for PoE 2. The more I've played this game, the better it's gotten. Every hour has been better than the previous hour. Like, not even an exaggeration. The first 5 hours I had fun, but I was like, I don't know, maybe I'm gonna bounce off like other ARPGs. Then hour 6, hour 7, it just kept getting better and better and better. As you become more immersed in the game and you have a slightly more understanding, now I'm like, oh my god, now I bet I could make that Merc Minion build work now, because I just have more knowledge in the game. I bet I could do that. But now I'm going to do a mercenary melee build, just because I like the idea of like a space marine kind of thing, an augmented human, but but he's big and he's strong, and I don't know, is that even cool? Doesn't matter. I'm excited for it. But now I really want to play a sorceress. I want to try lightning sorceress. I want to try rangers, like poison rangers, and then I want to do like some sort of weird combination of ability of like maybe a monk with some summons or whatever, maybe he's like a cult leader because he's like a religious guy or something. I don't know, there's just like, the more I play, the more things I want to try, and I want to try combining different things. And so the more I've played, the more I want to play, and that's dangerous. This game makes me want to waste my time. And what else do you want in a game? You know? Anyway, that's all for this one, guys. Thank you very much. Purplatypus is Purplatypus. I'll see you on the flip-flops. Bye!
On the rise, watch the views go.